in Africa and China is making strides, and the media, the Western media at least, has been covering a lot on their conflicts, but sometimes collaborations as well. So that's my question. Thank you.
In my script, I covered Africa and the Middle East, but I didn't have time just now. To me, Europe and China share common interests in the Middle East, which is to help the Africans develop. Because of the color revolutions, migration from Europe has been growing. It's becoming a big problem for Europe, for Italy, for France, for many countries. So there is every interest for Europe to help Africa develop, to stabilize Africa. But Africa will not be stabilized in your own image. Africa will be stabilized, can only be stabilized if you take into account its tribal character. If you ignore the tribal character of Africa, democracy will fail. Just as if you ignore the tribal history of Europe, you will fail in Europe. So China today is building much of Africa's infrastructure. And they're doing it in their own self-interest to extract minerals, trade, but also to win goodwill, because it's 54 votes in the UN, and these votes are important to China. So I'm an advisor to a Chinese company that's become Singaporean, investing in a very big iron ore mine in a West African country, for which they have to build a 600-kilometer railroad. And once that railroad is built, the whole country will be transformed, because then the inland spaces can gain access to the sea, which is the internet, right? Then you can trade, then the value of your labor will be much greater. So by right, Europe and China should work together to help Africa develop. So I was very troubled to read President Ursula von der Leyen recently saying that Europe helping Africa should be in competition with China. She suggested that. Why? And Africa has not a good historical memory of Europe, which has enslaved it, colonized it, and now you're telling me who my friend should be. So they resent it powerfully. So if you interview any African leader, they will tell you, rubbish. We will deal with China on our own terms because China is helping us. And there's none of the historical baggage. So Europe should be working with China in Africa and in the entire Middle East. Now the Americans have a different agenda. For them, it's just big power contest. And here in Middle East and on Africa, I think the American and European agendas diverge. And Europe should seek greater autonomy and be more circumspect in its own self-interest in working with China.